What's up YouTube, and welcome to another draw along with me, where today we're going to create this Easter paper cutout design. Now there's a link in the description down below to the palette. Of course you can grab it from on screen now, and there's also helpful videos in the description down below on how to do either of those options, so make sure to check out those quick and easy videos. As always, be sure to subscribe for weekly content here over on the Joel Designs channel, and make sure to drop a like down below. Enjoy today's tutorial, share your designs with me over on Instagram, and with all that said, let's get started. So we're going to go ahead and create a new canvas, and we're going to make it 2000 by 2000, and we're going to go ahead and hit create. Feel free to tinker with the time-lapse settings if that's something you like to play with. But once we hit our canvas, we're then going to go ahead and get started with creating the outline of the egg. So the first thing we're also going to want to do is grab our palette. So if we go ahead and grab the palette for today's design, so go to your colors, and if you've installed it in a different way, it's totally up to you. You'll have the Easter cutout palette here. Now we're going to go ahead and just select black just for a second. That way we can then make sure that we can see the lines on the screen. We're then going to go to our create options. We're going to go ahead and go to the option of symmetry and vertical. And we're going to hit the lock immediately, which then locks in that vertical line down the middle, which lets us know where the center of the canvas is. If we then go ahead and go to our brush library, and we go to calligraphy and the monoline brush. Now we're going to go ahead and make the brush size roughly around about 14. We're then going to go to our create options, and we're going to go to the option of circle. And then we're going to go ahead and simply tap on the line and drag out from there. And if you make it nice and perfect on the line, you'll get what looks like a perfect circle outwards. It's perfectly symmetrical. But if you need to, you may need to adjust it like this. So if yours looks a little bit like this, just grab the middle node here and drag it onto that center point until the rings of your circle match up. And we can scale this up and down as well. We can make it a little bit bigger to something like this. And we're going to go ahead and just drag it down. So again, sticking on that center line until the bottom of your circle roughly sits here. Then we're going to go ahead and go straight up to our create options. We're going to go to edit. We're then going to go to transformation and warp. And then what we want to go ahead and do is we want to tap on the line here, just there, and drag upwards so that we can create the egg shape. So if I tap here, drag directly upwards and continue to sort of stay on that line, we'll create a really cool little egg shape, and that will do for me. I'll then go ahead and hit the tick when I'm done. So we've got a little bit of vertical space there to work with. We created the outline of our egg. Next, what we'll go ahead and do is we can get rid of the symmetry option. We can also get rid of the circle option as well. We're going to go ahead and go to our create. We're going to go to the option of fill. And with black still selected, just tap and drag to the right in this space round here. Now at this point, just tap and drag a few times just to get rid of the fuzzy line and hit the tick. Otherwise, use the monoline brush and just tidy up any fuzzy lines. Once you've done that, this black one here is just simply a guide for a moment. So we're going to go to our layers. We're going to create a new layer. If we tap on the egg and we tap on the black shape here that we've created, we tap on it and use the option of select. We're going to select that shape. If we go to the empty layer then above, we then go to our create options, we go to fill, and we go to our color. And in our palette, we're going to grab the color in the bottom right. Once you grab that one, you then go ahead and just tap and drag to the right on the outside edge and hit the tick when you're done. Then you can hit this red dot here to cancel your selection, and the black one underneath, just simply tap on it and delete it. I've done that on purpose so we can make sure that the layer is completely filled in with the color we need, and we can progress from there. So we're now going to go ahead and tap on this layer here, the top layer, and duplicate it. So you'll have two of these egg colors. The one underneath, we're going to tap on it. We're going to go to our create options and go to fill. We're going to go to our color up here, and in the palette, we're going to go ahead and grab the blue in the top left. And then we're going to simply just tap and drag to the right hand side out here somewhere. You'll see from your thumbnail it's now changed to blue, and hit the tick when you're done. Then we're going to go ahead and go to our create options. We're going to go to edit and basic transformation. And we're going to want to go ahead and scale this down. So you may need to zoom out of your canvas a little bit so you can see the nodes on the outside edge there. And we're going to scale this down in size till we get something a little bit like this, where we've got that nice little bit of color running around the outside, and hit the tick when you're done. Now, if you have a gap here at the bottom or at the top, either way, you may need to just go ahead and fill in the gap, because we're going to continue to make our way down. So you need to fill that gap in now if there is one top or bottom. So then we're going to go ahead and repeat this all the way down until we've got all the colors we need. So tap on the blue egg, duplicate it. The bottom one, go to your create options and go to fill. We're then going to go to our color. We'll grab the orange. We'll go ahead and tap away and then tap and drag to the right in the blue area, because that's where the one underneath is. You'll see your thumbnail change to orange, and hit the tick when you're done. And again, go to basic transformation. So we'll go to our tools, edit, transformation and basic. And we'll scale this down in size until you pretty much end up with the same gap all the way around as you did the layer above. Just so we've got some nice sort of continuity with all the layers. Once you've done that, tap on the orange one, duplicate it. The bottom one, go to your create options and go to the fill tool. Grab the next color in the palette, which is the pink. Then we'll go ahead and we'll just tap and drag to the right hand side on the orange area. You'll see your thumbnail underneath change to pink. Hit the tick, go up to your create options, edit, basic transformation and scale it down. So we'll scale it down to something like this. Hit the tick when we're done. Tap on the pink one, duplicate it, grab the pink one underneath. Go to your fill option, so create and fill. Grab the next color, which is the purple tone in the palette. And then again, we'll go ahead and tap and drag in this outside area somewhere. You'll see your thumbnail change to purple. Hit the tick. Go to your tools and go to your create option, shall I say. Edit, basic transformation and scale it down again. And you should end up then with a purple layer. And that gap I was talking about earlier is something like this. So I just need to sort of scale mine just so I can just about see that gap. That's fine, or get rid of the gap. Hit the tick. And then the only thing left to do is then if we go ahead and go to our background color, so this color here, so tap on this and you'll get a few options. We'll tap on the color for now. We'll go to the palette for today's design. So find the palette and you're going to want to select the fifth color on that top row. So your layers should now all look like something like this. We're now going to go ahead and add in our pattern per layer. So we'll go right to the top of our layers. So we've got the cream layer. We'll make sure our color is set to the cream color in the bottom right of the palette. We're then going to go ahead and our brush wants to be the monoline brush. And size wise, I'm going to keep it a bit small, around about 14%. That's fine, or 14 points. We're then going to go ahead and go up to our create options and we're going to go to symmetry and vertical. And we're going to tap on this to add in our vertical line again. Now, every layer that we work on, it will duplicate your work on either side. And now we can have some fun with creating our pattern. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create an arc that runs around the bottom of the egg. So I'll just draw in a line across, hold my pen down to create a nice smooth arc, adjust it accordingly, and then let go. I'm going to go ahead and draw in another one just above it. Draw in an arc, hold my pen down, and I'll draw in a further one just above that so I can create a band. So I'm going to create an arc and I can tap on the line if I want to and adjust the curvature of it as well so that I can fix it in place where I want. And then if I go ahead and just fill in the edges, I can make my way all the way across. So I could go ahead and make my brush size a little bit bigger just to fill in this space a little quicker, or I could use the fill tool, doesn't really matter either way. And we've got a nice little band. I'm going to make my brush go back down to the 14 points. I'm then going to go ahead and move up to the top of the design and I'm going to create a ribbon up here. So I'm going to create a band that runs across, hold my pen down and put that into position. I'm then going to create another band that's just underneath it. That's going to be the top of my little ribbon here. And what you can do is we can start over here and we can just create a really quick and easy band, and the program itself will straighten out all those lines like so. So if we do that again, we can start over here and just create a really quick and easy band. A little something like this, hold my pen down and it will add in our little pattern. And I'm going to go ahead and fill in those gaps. So I'll go ahead and increase my brush size. So I need to tap away somewhere else, finish that line off. And I'm going to increase my brush size up and fill in the gaps. Reduce that brush size again, fill that in here. I'm just going to do it manually. And there we go, we've got a little banner around the top area there, which I may even just run a thicker band just across the top here, just to bring them a little closer together. So then what we go ahead and do is we make our way down the layer. So we go down to the blue layer, we change our color to the same blue in the top left of the palette, the first color. And I'll make sure that my brush is set back down to the 14 mark or close enough. So now I'm going to go ahead and create an arc. Now what I'm also going to do is I'm going to go to my brush and the monoline brush. And if we go to this settings icon here, we can make sure the smoothness is quite high. I'm going to go up to about 82 on this point, just so that my lines are nice and smooth. And I'm going to create a sort of really nice small ribbon. So I'm going to make sure my brush size is the correct size. So about 16 is fine. I'm just going to create a little bit of an arc into the middle like so. And then underneath that, I'll just go ahead and kind of reflect it, just so we can create a little bit of a ribbon, a little something like this. And then I will go ahead and just tidy up any edges where it needs to be. So run it into the blue nicely, fill in the edges, and then I can go ahead and increase my brush size up a little bit and fill that all in. So you could just use the fill tool or whatever tool you like to use. It's totally up to you. I'm just going to go ahead and just quickly fill that in. And we've got a little ribbon that runs across. I'm then going to go ahead and go to my eraser, tap on my eraser and make sure I'm using calligraphy and the monoline brush. Let's make the size a little bit smaller, maybe down to about sort of 10. And we're going to use this to erase some details. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. I'm going to go ahead and create a little erasing line here. Put my pen down to create a nice smooth arc, a little something like this. And then we'll just go ahead and just erase little patterns from the side of the ribbon. So a little something like this. I'll go ahead and create another one up here. Create a nice little cutout and another cutout here as well. So you can have some fun creating whatever pattern you like. I'm just going to go ahead and do that, and that will be enough. So the next stage is to add in a little stage down here for our bunny. So my brush now is going to be set to a slightly larger size, about 86. I'm just going to create an arc that runs across here like so. It's like a little flat area for our bunny to sit on. And then we're going to go ahead and create a new layer. We're going to go up to our 3 dots here in the top, and we're going to go to options and import. And if we tap on import and go to photos, you're going to need to find the bunny that I added in the description. Once you find it, tap on it. And this pop-up will now change to the option of import as a layer or reference. So we're going to want to import it as a layer. So it will then drop it in nice and large, and we'll just go ahead and grab the node in the bottom right here and just scale it down in size. And we're going to want to make it around about this sort of size here and drag it down onto that little ledge that we made there until you end up with positioning a little something like this. And then just simply go ahead and hit the tick when you're done. Then tap on the bunny layer and just go to the option of merge, which will merge it down onto the blue layer, and we're done with the blue layer. Let's go down to the orange layer. Go to our color, change it to the orange, and we'll go ahead and add in a little pattern on this layer. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and with my large brush size still, I'm going to go ahead and create a sort of a banner that's going to run across here. I'm going to create an arc like so. I'm going to do it again just to thicken it up a little bit more like this. Then I'm going to go ahead and just tap away. I'll go to my eraser, tap on it, making sure we're still using the monoline brush. I'm going to make my brush size, what are we up to there? About 30 points is good. And then I'm going to go ahead and create an erased pattern from this. So I'm going to make sure I tap just on the line here as best I can. And then we're going to go ahead and just sort of create a dot pattern. You want to make sure you keep the gap from the edge of the screen the same, all the way across. A little something like this. And just keep making our way towards that outer edge. Not hitting the outer edge, but just making our way over there. And you want to, again, make sure your gaps are nice and consistent. So you're the same sort of distance from the edge of your banner. And you can create a little pattern like this. On the same layer, I'm also going to go back to my brush. I'm going to go ahead and change the brush size down to something around about, let's go to the 14 mark for a moment. If not, slightly bigger. Let's go a little bit bigger than that. Let's go up to about 20. And we're going to go ahead and add in a little banner that's going to run across just behind our bunny. So the first thing we'll do is just add a dot right on the edge there. Then if we zoom in, all we want to do is just create a dot pattern, runs all the way around and in behind our bunny. It doesn't matter then when you don't see it, because of course it's then hidden. And then I'm going to increase the brush size up to something a little bit bigger, maybe up to around about the 38 or 40 mark. I'm going to go ahead and add another dot here, and then just create another band of dots that just make their way across in behind our bunny, almost like a little sort of bead. And then we can go ahead and then go to our layers and move down a layer. So we'll go into our layers, we'll go to the pink layer, we'll change our color again to the pink color. We'll then go ahead and make our brush size a little bit smaller, back down to something we can be a bit more accurate with, maybe around about the 20 mark. Now on this occasion, I'm going to create a band that runs in behind our bunny, and around about just sort of here is going to be the bottom of it. So I'm going to draw in a band across, hold my pen down to get a nice smooth arc, and I'll create another band across as well and create a nice smooth arc. I then want to go ahead and make my brush size a little bit bigger, around about the 40 mark maybe, and just fill that in perfectly, not leaving any gaps behind. And then in there, I'll go ahead and create an erased pattern. So if I go to my eraser now, the eraser set to about sort of 17 again, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and I'll create a little dash in the middle, like a little curve, and just slowly but surely make that a little bit bigger as I make my way in towards the center like this. So now it's got bigger again. I can now go ahead and just create some arcs towards the center point. Some of them you may not see too much because they're hidden, but just a little pattern like this. And then we're going to go down to the purple layer. This is our final layer. We're going to go to our colors and grab the purple, so the fourth color in the palette. And we're going to go ahead and create some bands that will fit in our gaps. So the brush size wants to be around about the 40 mark is good. I'm going to go ahead and create a couple of arcs that just meet in the middle. If you hold your pen down, it will create like this really cool effect. And if you tap on the line, you can create these really cool waves. And I want that to sit perfectly on that center point like so. I like that little wave. So I drew in this shape. I'll do it again up here for you. I'll just create like a bounce line and meet in the middle. And then I can go ahead and tap on the line. And I can adjust some of these points to my preference. And just like adjust it, create a nice little band in the middle. I think it looks quite nice. Then I'll do it again over here. I'll bounce down, go towards the middle. I can tap on the line and I can adjust these now just to make sure that they kind of sort of resemble the one underneath. Making sure sort of our gaps are a little bit similar to one another. A little something like that. And I'll just tap away anywhere and we've created a nice little pattern there in the back. So all of these layers now were just used to fill in all the fun little details. We can now go ahead and add in the 3D effects. So we're going to go ahead and first of all, make sure you always go up to your options and hit save. It's nice and critical just so you can come back to it. So we're now going to add in the shadows. So we're going to duplicate a lot of layers and just change their colors. So it's going to be pretty straightforward stuff. We'll go to this top layer, we'll tap on it and we'll duplicate it. The bottom one out of the two, you're going to want to go ahead and go to your create options. We'll go to fill. We're going to go to our colors and each layer has a sort of designated shadow. So I'm going to grab this color here. It is the 6th color in the palette. So it's the far right on the top row. So 6th color. And I'm going to go ahead and just tap in this space out here, tap and drag to the right. You'll see the thumbnail change. Tap on the tick when you're done. Then we're going to want to go ahead and on this darker layer, we're going to go up to our create options and go to then the edit tab. We'll go to the option of filters and we'll go to structure and blur and we'll tap on that and we're going to go ahead and blur this out up to around about this 63% mark and hit the tick when you're done and repeat that down. So we tap on the blue layer, we tap on it and duplicate it. We go to the bottom blue layer, we go to our create options and we go to the option of fill and change the color. We'll tap on the color and we'll change it to this color. It is the second one in the first column, otherwise it is the 7th in the palette, so this one here. And again, just out here anywhere, as long as you sort of tap on the blue area, so tap and drag to the right, you'll then add that shadow in and you'll see the color change. Hit the tick, go to your create options again and go to edit, filters, and go to structure and blur. And again, swipe this to the right hand side up to around about that 63% mark and hit the tick when you're done. Move down to the orange layer, tap on it and duplicate it. The bottom orange layer, tap on it. Go to your create options and go to fill. Change the color. Move it to this one here. So it's the bottom color in the second column. We're then going to go ahead and go and tap in the orange space and drag to the right hand side. You'll see the thumbnail change. Hit the tick. Go back up to your edit tab. Go to filters and go to structure and blur. And again, make your way up to around about that 63% mark and hit the tick when you're done. Each layer now is getting its shadow, but it will really come to life in a second. So then go down to the pink layer, tap on it, duplicate it, tap on the bottom pink layer. Go to your create options and go to the fill tool. Go to your color and change it to this color, the bottom color in the second column. We're then going to go ahead and tap in the pink area, tap and drag to the right. We can then hit the tick. We can go to our edit options, filters, structure and blur, and swipe to the right hand side to 63% and hit the tick when you're done. Now tap on the purple layer, tap on it and duplicate it, tap on the bottom one out the two, then go to our create options and go to the option of fill. Go to your color and change it to this color here, the bottom color in the fourth column. Then tap away, and then in the pink area somewhere, sorry, the purple area, tap and drag to the right. Hit the tick when you're done. And then again go to your edit tab, filters, structure and blur, and swipe to the right hand side. And we want to make this up to the 63% mark and hit the tick when you're done. Now at this stage we can go ahead and move our shadows to dictate where the lighting's coming from, and I always pretty much put it in the top left. It always looks the best way that way. So we can then go ahead and go to our tools. We can go to create, we can go to edit, should I say. We'll go to basic transformation. Now at the minute we've got the furthest shadow at the back selected, you can see that here. But if I tap on this little checkbox here on all of the shadow layers, so select it, select it, select it, and select it again at the top, you've now got all the shadows. So you may need to zoom out of your canvas just a little bit until you can see something like this. And now we can dictate the lighting. For example, I can spin this around now and just show that, like, that paper cutout effect, and how cool does that look? Really give it some really cool 3D lighting, as if something really is moving around. So we're going to go ahead and move it down towards the bottom right. And the more you drag, the deeper the shadows are going to be. So you'll end up with a really deep cutout like this. You can keep them really small like this. Neither is incorrect, but my preference is a lot deeper, so that way we get a lot more depth. What you can also do is, if we zoom out a little bit, if I grab this node in the bottom right and just bring that in a tiny bit, we'll make the shadows a little bit smaller than the shapes that they were meant to represent. And then I can just readjust them and you'll get a little bit of shadow also appear on the right. So my preference is just down like this, and then hit the tick when I'm done. And you'll end up with this beautiful 3D effect. Now the next effect that we add is just a nice light trim on the right hand side that is just going to give us a bit more of that paper look to it before we add the paper texture at the end. So if we go ahead and go to the very top of our layers, and we've got this layer here that you can see with all the cream on. If we tap on it and we duplicate it, the top one out of the two, tap on it and clip it to itself. So tap on this option here and clip. So you've got two cream layers. But if you go to the bottom one for a moment, then go to your color, we'll just change it to white in the top left of our palette for a moment. Then go to our create options and go to fill, and tap and drag to the right just a tiny bit. You'll see the thumbnail change to completely white almost. Hit the tick when you're done. Then what we want to do is grab the clipped layer above, go to your edit option and basic transformation. And what we want to try and do is, if I zoom out of my canvas just a little bit and move it down towards the bottom right, and then I'll hit the tick when I'm done. I'll show you what I've done. I've moved it down until this white trim here is just exposed, and it looks like the edge of some paper. And what it will also do is as we make our way down a little bit, it will add it to every layer. So just want to move it down a little bit until you reveal a little white trim. Keep it nice and small. You don't want to make it too large. So I'll show you that again for every layer. I never skip in my tutorials. We'll do all the steps no matter how repetitive they are. So we tap on the blue layer. We'll tap on it and we'll duplicate it. Top one, clip it down to the one underneath, tap on the one underneath, go to your fill option, and tap in the blue area and drag to the right. Then grab the top layer, hit the tick, go to your create options and go to edit, basic transformation, and move the top one, the blue one still, and move it down towards the bottom right, and you'll just reveal a white trim. We're talking 1 or 2 pixels. That's all you need to do. If you make it too big, it's not going to look very good and you won't have that effect. You want that nice little trim there, and it will also go around the edge of the bunny. It will be in your little layer there at the top with the sort of banner that we created. And now we duplicate that all the way down. We go to the orange layer, tap on it, duplicate it, tap on the top one and clip it to itself. The bottom one out the two. We're going to change the color, so we'll go to create, fill, tap and drag to the right hand side on the orange layer, making sure you actually add it to everything. So what you can do on this layer, because we've got the little beads here, they may be separated by a pixel or two. If I actually tap on this layer and go to the option of select to select everything on that layer, and now go ahead and sort of drag to the right hand side a few times everywhere I think there should be some gaps, like these little beads down here, potentially just where they've got a little bit separated. Just want to make sure we don't miss anything, just so that they have a nice good amount of color on them, that nice little crispy edge. So that's just on this layer, and hit the tick when you're done, and hit the red dot as well to cancel the selection. Then we grab the orange layer above, we go to our edit options, basic transformation, and move it down towards the bottom right. Again, only a pixel or two, something really small. And especially as we get further back, we don't want that detail anymore sort of showing quite prominently. But each layer now looks really crispy. Go down to the pink layer, tap on it, duplicate it, tap on the top one and clip it to the other pink one. Then tap on the pink layer, go to your create options and go to fill, tap and drag in the pink area anywhere to the right, go up to the clipped layer, hit the tick on the fill because we're done with that, go to your create options and go to edit, basic transformation, and move it down towards the bottom right, just a pixel or two. So just adjust that accordingly and hit the tick. And we're moving it down towards the bottom right because the lighting is coming from the top left. So you wouldn't have a bright edge here, you would have the edge here where the lighting's coming across and hitting the side of the paper. Then let's go down to the purple layer, last layer, tap on it and duplicate it. Tap on the top one and clip it to itself. Grab the bottom one out the two. Go to your create options, go to fill. Tap and drag in the right hand side in the purple area. Hit the tick. Go back up to the clip layer, the purple version. Grab your create options and go to edit. Basic transformation, again move it down towards the bottom right, and this one wants to be really, really thin. It's so far back that it may not even get any light, but you just want it off to the right hand side, just bottom right edge. I'm just adjusting that accordingly so I can get something really, really nice and thin, and hit the tick when I'm done. And now we've got all of this depth in here. Now the cool thing with Infinite Painter, we can add a texture that covers the entire design. So this dot in the bottom right that we changed to the base color, if we tap on it and we go to this option here of texture, and then tap on the option here, we can pick a texture from our library. Now we're going to go ahead and grab this one here. It's the fourth one on the top row. And then we can adjust this sort of paper card effect how we wish. We can increase the depth of it, making it look like it really has a ton of detail in it. You can even increase the opacity, but you'll get up to something that looks a little bit too crazy. So you can keep it down to something a bit smaller, maybe around that sort of 30% mark. And you can change the scale of it. I've got it to 1 at the minute, but you could make it really big. You can make it really, really small and really fine. It's totally up to you what you want to leave it on. I quite like that 0.76. That looks pretty good. We've got some nice little bit of detail on there. And then we can go ahead and we can zoom in on that a little bit. We can go full screen with 4, and we end up with today's finished design. So I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. I hope you have a wonderful Easter. Make sure to share your designs with me over on Instagram. There's a link to all my socials in the description down below. Make sure to subscribe for weekly tutorials, and I'll see you in the next one.